Krishnasya cha vichestitam. Suta uvacha samprastite dvarkayam Jishnau bandho didikshaya Gyatum cha punya shlokasya Krishnasya cha vichestitam. Okay, so translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Suta Goswami said, Arjuna went to Dwarka to see Lord Sri Krishna and other friends, and also to learn from the Lord of his next activities. Purport. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord descended on earth for the protection of the faithful and annihilation of the impious. So after the battle of Kurukshetra and establishment of Maharaj Yudhishthir, the mission of the Lord was complete. The Pandavas, especially Sri Arjuna, were eternal companions of the Lord, and therefore Arjuna went to Dwarka to hear from the Lord of his next program of work. I'll just read the next verse as well. Vyatita kati chinmasas tada nayat tatorjuna dadarsha ghora rupani nimittani kurudvaha. Translation and purport. A few months passed and Arjuna did not return. Maharaj Yudhishthir then began to observe some inauspicious omens, which were fearful in themselves. Purport. Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is ad infinitum, more powerful than the most powerful sun of our experience. Millions and billions of suns are created by him and annihilated by him within his one breathing period. In the material world, the sun is considered to be the source of all productivity and material energy, and only due to the sun we can have the necessities of life. Therefore, during the personal presence of the Lord on the earth, all paraphernalia for our peace and prosperity, especially religion and knowledge, were in full display because of the Lord's presence, just as there is a full flood of light in the presence of the glowing sun. Maharaj Yudhishthir observed some discrepancies in his kingdom, and therefore he became very anxious about Arjuna, who was long absent, and there was also no news about Dwarka's well-being. He suspected the disappearance of Lord Krishna, otherwise there would have been no possibility of fearful omens. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagna Rahunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Mitamscha हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। गुरु वैष्णव भगवान तीने रस्मरणे होय विघ्न विनाशन अनायासे होय निज वांछित पूरण नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So this chapter talks about the disappearance of Lord Krishna. It actually doesn't properly deal with the disappearance of Lord Krishna, but it shows some signs that Krishna has disappeared. So actually this is quite a depressing chapter if you look at it. The reason I know this is because when I first started reading Srimad Bhagavatam, maybe I think like maybe around 10 years ago, I came to this chapter. And as soon as I started reading this chapter, a few verses in, I was too depressed. I said, no, I'll not read Srimad Bhagavatam. So I stopped reading this, and then I think I resumed reading Bhagavatam maybe after like a few years. So, I mean, I'm not saying that we should all give up reading Bhagavatam, because actually what I realized is that when I came back to it and when I read it, then I realized that actually the topics of the disappearance of the Lord are also just as ecstatic. Now you might think that it's a bit weird. How is it possible that the topics of the disappearance of the Lord are ecstatic? But actually there is a transcendental ecstasy that you will encounter in this topic also. So essentially I'll just give you a brief summary of what's going to happen in this chapter, just so that we have an idea of what's going to happen. So from this verse, we understand, the two verses we read today, we understand that Yudhishthir Maharaj had sent Arjun to the kingdom of Dwarka to find out about Krishna and to find out what's going to happen and what the plans of the Lord were. So he noticed that Arjuna has not come back for a few months. So he was a bit concerned. So in his mind, he was suspecting that maybe Krishna has left this world, and that's why Arjuna has not come back. And to further confirm his suspicions, he starts noticing some bad omens, so which is described here in the next verse, in second verse. Ghora Rupani, it is described. So he started to see some things which were very inauspicious. So what kinds of things did he start to see? So he started to see that within families, he said, two people cannot live with each other. So we know that in the, if you go back in history, you will see that, for example, Rishabdev had 100 sons, and there were 100 prachetas also. They all lived in complete harmony. Even though there were 100 of them, they still lived in perfect harmony. They all had different natures. But he started noticing that within a family, even two people cannot live together, let alone like a group of people. So he noticed that that's something wrong. He noticed that the dogs started to bark without any hindrance. They were not scared. So the dogs became very fearless also. So he realized that something is wrong. He noticed that the crops were not giving enough fruits. So the earth was not giving enough fruits. He noticed that the seasons had reversed. So seasons had reversed, meaning like in summer you start getting rain, and in winter it starts feeling hot. So he started noticing all of these things, which we are noticing today also. And he realized that something inauspicious has happened. Then so much so that his left side of the body started twitching. So in Vedic culture, it is described that if the left side of a man starts twitching, then it's something inauspicious. And similarly, it's the same for it's the opposite for the woman. So if a woman's right side of the body twitches, then it's inauspicious, and vice versa. So if the right side of a male twitches, then that's good, or something good will happen. So he started, it's not just you get one twitch or something. When it's continuously throbbing, then it means that something inauspicious is going to happen. So Yudhishthir Maharaj, he kind of figured that something inauspicious has happened, and in the back of his mind, he was thinking that maybe Krishna has disappeared, but he did not want to say it out loud. So then he noticed that after Arjuna had come back, then he questioned Arjuna. He said, like, what took you so long? He said, why is it that he listed a lot of family members of the Yadu dynasty, like how is Balaram, how is Satyaki, for example. He listed how is Ugrasena, how are all of them. Then he asked, how is Krishna, where are all of them, and how are they doing? And Arjuna could not respond at that time. So Arjuna's eyes also became choked with tears. So then he said that I'm noticing all of these inauspicious omens, all of these inauspicious things. He says, is it because you have neglected your dharma? He says, is it because you are not performing, you are not giving protection to the women and children and old people? He said, is it because you are extracting too much tax from people who should not be taxed at all? So he was worried that because Arjuna was not following his dharma, that all of these inauspicious things were happening. But deep in his mind, he knew that actually Krishna has probably departed, and that is why all of these inauspicious things are happening. And Arjuna cannot respond to all of these things. So then Arjuna eventually describes how Krishna has left this world, and how because Krishna has left this world, Arjuna has become completely powerless. Like once who used to hold the Gandiva and who even was a able match for Lord Shiva. So it is described that once Arjuna fought with Lord Shiva, and he fought continuously, and he was not lost. He did not lose the battle with Lord Shiva. That Arjuna could not give protection to the wives of Krishna. So the wives of Krishna were being attacked by all kinds of rogues, and Arjuna could not give them protection. And these were simple rogues, not some like great personalities or anything. So Arjuna lost all of his strength, he lost all of his valor. So then he describes that actually because Krishna has disappeared, I have lost all of my strength as well. So then we will see in the next chapter, then Yudhishthir Maharaj and all of the Pandavas will say that, okay, well, it's time for us to leave as well. So then they entrust the kingdom upon Parikshit Maharaj, and then they decide to retire and go back home, back to Godhead. So it's kind of like a depressing chapter, but actually there are some important points that are being brought out here. So firstly, Srila Prabhupada points out that in the purport he says that why are all of these inauspicious things happening when Krishna disappeared? Now the actual answer is that if you look at how Krishna appeared, when Krishna appeared, we know that Bhumi Devi or Mother Earth, she went to Lord Brahma in the form of a cow to request Brahma that, so many demons and Rakshasas are tormenting me. So then Brahma said that, okay, I will request Lord Vishnu or I will request Lord Krishna to appear personally. And then when Krishna appeared, you should look at the scene that is described at that time. Like the atmosphere became so peaceful. The Gandharvas were singing very nicely. All the trees and all the flowers, lotuses started blossoming. And all of the trees, they were releasing lots of very nice fragrance. And, the whole atmosphere was so blissful. And then when Krishna left, it became extremely depressing, like what we're reading now. Like all inauspicious things. The jackals started making their noise. I don't know. What do jackals do? Howl, yeah, that's right. So jackals started to howl and all of that. So all of these inauspicious things started to happen. So actually the idea is that when Krishna appeared, then at that time Mother Earth was extremely happy. She was extremely ecstatic that, Krishna is actually none other than her husband, because Bhudevi is the consort, or she is the wife of Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna. So when Krishna appears, then Mother Earth also becomes extremely happy. Not just when Krishna appears, whenever an incarnation or whenever a representative or pure devotee of Krishna appears, it is described that Mother Earth becomes extremely ecstatic. And at that time, she bestows all kinds of auspiciousness. And whenever they disappear, then Mother Earth also becomes extremely sad. And she also becomes extremely distressed. And that is why we see all of these signs. So it is a common misunderstanding in the modern world that the earth is not a sentient being, or the earth is just a clump of rocks and that's it. But actually the earth is quite sentient. The earth actually has consciousness, and the earth has feelings also. And she expresses her feelings through different seasons